Three, two, one, and we are ready for our live today. I'm so excited to be here. We're going to learn a few things today, hopefully. A lot of you sometimes have questions of why you tell us to do certain things like match your bobbin thread, use water soluble thread. So, we're going to talk about a few of those things today. And I guess I'm going to start with where our instructions are. In our instructions, you usually get to the point in the design after you have pieced it together. By the way, just say hello and tell us where you're watching from. Let us know if you're coming to our open house on Saturday. But in our instructions, we always at a certain point start getting bossy and we start telling you to do certain things. And I just wanted to explain why. And I had to hunt for some examples to show you as to why. So the thing that I love about our Hoop Sisters quilts is that our quilts look stunning from the front as well as the back. You have the option in all of our designs to add your backing while it's in the hoop or to add just a one-piece backing later. But there are some rules to follow if you're to put it, if you're adding your backing while it's in the hoop, so that it looks almost as good on the back as it does on the front. So when you get to the point where you and your designs and it's all in your any instructions of any of our designs, where you've done your piecing, you've done your applique, and it's time for the quilting steps to take place. That's when we will tell you to add your backing fabric. And so when you do that, you'll take your hoop off the machine and you will center your backing fabric and then put it back on. And we always tell you to use water soluble thread. And I'll just read the example with our Navigator quilt, what we say. If adding the backing, well, wait a minute. If adding backing now, which is in the hoop, add backing fabric to the back of hoop and sew basting stitches to hold that back on. Use water soluble thread for that step. And I'll show you why in just a moment. And then we tell you to turn off automatic thread cutter for the remainder of the design. So there's two things, water soluble thread, turn off the automatic thread cutter. The other thing we tell you then for the next step is to use thread that matches your needle thread. You have to match your bobbin thread with your needle thread because you will never, ever, ever, well, maybe if a miracle happens, you might get your bobbin thread and your needle thread to be perfectly so that it's all the right colors on the right side. But actually a perfect tension, you're always going to see a little bit of needle thread on the back side. So that's why we tell you to match the bobbin thread. Trying to think, oh, bring your bobbin thread to the top was another thing. So I'm going to show you just a little example of what I did on the machine yesterday. Sarah, is that coming through as?
That is backwards on the screen.
It's backwards. See, I tried to outsmart everybody. What I did, actually, it is supposed to be backwards.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, see, I confused myself. Is I took examples of what you should or should not be doing, trying to get so everybody can see this. These are examples of what we tell you to do and what we don't tell you to do. Green is what we tell you to do. Red is what we tell you not to do. And as you can see, it's backwards. This is the front of the block, and I did the lettering backwards so that you could see it on the back. So the first thing you will see, it says matching bobbin thread. Hopefully, is that? There. It says matching bobbin thread. Can you see how nice that looks when you match your bobbin thread to your needle thread? And then the next line says different color bobbin thread. So you have a different color in your bobbin. Let's see, for instance, in this one, some people have told me that, well, I want my needle thread to match the fabric on the back.
I got a phone call as Annie was live, and it kicked us off that camera. So I'll get that back up in a moment. And then you find
Okay.
Annie.
Sarah, you're so calm about this. I'd be going, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to start
Well,
over.
You know, last week I ended our live right in the middle, so we're doing good.
So as you can see, matching bobbin thread looks great, but if you try to not match your bobbin thread and have two different colors, you're going to get something that looks like that. That's why we definitely tell you to match your bobbin thread. The next thing you see here is we tell you to have your automatic thread cutter turned. This is what it looks like when you turn it on. It's going to be kind of hard to see, but you can see all the little thread tails that happen. And sometimes you get like little bird's nests in the back. So that's why we tell you to turn your automatic thread cutter off. And that's why that's green, because green is go and green is what we would like to see you do. Sorry, I'm trying to get it. I will tell you that I did have a little bobbin issue as it's stitched out. So ignore that. But you can see there are some jump stitches there, but those are easy to find and easy to clip off, and it just makes it look much nicer. The next one I wanted to talk about was the bobbin thread, to bring the bobbin thread to the top. And you can see it looks nice and neat when you bring it to the top. But when you just leave your bobbin thread hanging and you hit start and you didn't bring it to the top, you can see where there's kind of little bird nests and stuff like that.
I'll get you switch back to
Okay.
the right camera. I think it looks a little. Okay.
All
there
right.
you go.
Hopefully we're back. We're good to go. So the things that I just described to you, like match your bobbin thread, turn your automatic thread cutter off, and bring your bobbin thread to the top. We tell you those things for reasons. And if you don't listen to any of those, let me show you an example what it looks like when you do that. This is the front. It's hard to, I'm going the wrong direction. All right, this is the front. And this is what the back looks like. It's kind of a mess. You can see kind of some messy areas. The stitching's not real good. You can see where the red thread on the front's kind of popping through in a few areas. But if you actually do as our instructions show you, there's reasons why we ask you to do that. And you can see how fabulous that looks on the back. So again, one of these, this one is showing where you don't do the things. I'm so sorry. We should have probably had the camera on that other thing. But this is what it would look like if you broke all our rules and didn't follow the instructions. And you have much, much better results if you do those few things like bring the bobbin thread to the top, match your needle and bobbin thread, and turn off your automatic thread cutter. So I just want to make sure that if you're adding your backing in the hoop that you do follow those instructions, because everything turns out so much better when you do. And this, I want to just show you a few backs of some of our quilts. We do have a lot of them that are hanging for our open house. So some of the more popular ones, really, I wasn't able to get down. But you can see how pretty that looks on the back. And I just have another, I'll just show you a couple more examples. This is another example. This one we use some contrasting sashing on there. You can see how pretty the quilting and everything will look on the back. And I also looked for some bad examples with our samples. And I did have a really hard time finding that because I guess we actually follow our own instructions, which is kind of a good thing. So this is our Rogello quilt. So you can see that pretty quilting and it looks fabulous. I was able to find one little spot. Stand up so I can make sure you see it. There's some little bird's nests and stuff here where the threads began stitching because the bobbin thread wasn't brought to the top. So when you bring the bobbin thread to the top, you avoid those little bird nests and stuff that you see. So just a little tips that if you do those things, things will turn out much nicer, and I think you'll be much happier. Another tip is that sometimes a print versus a solid will hide any little minor imperfections that you might be having. So just consider maybe using a print on that. The other thing I wanted to talk about, we talk about this occasionally because a lot of times people will ask, well, why do you use water soluble thread? First of all, I'll tell you where we use it. We will use it in the first few steps of our instructions. And we will, when you add your backing fabric or it does a basting stitch around the perimeter, we tell you to use water soluble in that step as well. We tell you to use it in that step primarily because when you sew your blocks together, you don't want to see that basting stitch hanging out. And if it is peeking out a little bit, then of course, if you use water soluble, you can just get it wet. So I'll just show you a spot, hopefully where you can see it really well. So right along this seam right here.
Yeah, that's showing good.
Okay, you can see where there's a little bit of some stitching there. So I think it's water soluble. I'm not sure. I'll get it wet and find out. But that would just disappear. So I am really not that good of friends with my seam ripper. And maybe you're the same way. I would rather just dab some water on there and have it disappear.
Sandra has a question for you. She said, if you bring the thread to the top, do you have to do it every time you start in a new place? For example, every time you start, I think she meant to type a new letter in a word.
Oh, well, now I just use lettering just to show you what I did there. But primarily when we tell you to do that, it's usually going to be a quilting portion of it. And generally you'll just, when like we have everything broken down in steps and we tell you to change to this thread or that thread, usually at the beginning of that step, would be the time you would have to bring that bobbin thread to the top. And then when you go to the next step, then you can bring the bobbin thread to the top of that one too. And that is just after the backing fabric is added.
And that's why you want to make sure your automatic thread cutter is turned off.
Yes.
Because if it wasn't, then you'd want to do it with
every... Right. Sometimes within each step of quilting, you're using the same thread. It's all in the same step. You might have, say, some quilting you're going to do right here, and then it jumps to this section over here. If your automatic thread cutter is turned off, you're going to have a jump stitch, and it's going to hold that taut so that afterwards you can turn your block over and you can cut that jump stitch. If you had your automatic thread cutter turned on, when it stopped here and proceeded to the next section, you have that loose thread, and when it starts sewing again is when it could be sucked in and potentially create another bird's nest under there. That's why it is another reason it's important to have your automatic thread cutter turned off.
Okay, I want to do a couple of shout outs. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to shout out Catherine, who is currently, I'm reading this as though she's currently driving to Lima, Ohio from Texas.
Oh my goodness.
To see us on Saturday.
Is that Catherine Dunn?
Yes. And
see, Catherine, I even knew it was she. Is that Catherine Dunn?
And then Laura, oh goodness, I lost your comment. I think it might have been Patridge. There it is. Laura Partridge is driving here from, I don't think she currently is, but she's coming from Northern Illinois to see us on Saturday. So you guys are traveling quite a ways. And then there are a few people that say it's just too far. Aww. Maggie says it's too hard to find someone a good sitter for their mules and their donkeys.
Oh, I was going to say it was a doggy or a cat. Bring it with you, but
that's
mules and doggies would be kind of hard.
But yeah, I think you're probably are you transitioned? Did I?
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. We are very excited about our open house. I had to pull out some really old quilts from years ago to show you some of these examples because we have our office area decorated. We have a little store down the hall. We have a demo area. We're going to have a refreshment area. So we're very excited that we have people coming from all over the country to see us. We're just really humbled by that. Here you go. Sorry, I'm a crier.
She is a crier.
But we're just very excited for Saturday. Oh, why did you have me do this?
I didn't get that crying gene, but you are definitely a crier.
No, you didn't. You didn't get the hugging gene either.
No.
So if you're coming Saturday, don't hug Sarah.
Oh gosh, now they'll hug
looking for you.
I'm
But
prepared.
if unfortunately you are unable to come and spend Saturday with us, we do want to tell you that next Wednesday's live at 2 o'clock, we're going to have a little virtual tour of our open house. And if you register, you will have a free gift in your account, but the free gift won't be there until Wednesday. So just like you have done in the past, if you go to our website and Nina, maybe you can plug in, put the link in there for them, but you can register for the virtual open house, which is next Wednesday if you can't join us Saturday. We'd love to show you what we've got going on here and lots of fun stuff and a free design when you register. So,
And to register, that's just under that same open house tab on our website. Just register for that virtual open house.
yeah.
And yeah, you'll get a little free gift in there from us to you next week.
Yeah, yep. So we are excited and hopefully we'll see some of you on Saturday. Drive carefully and the rest of you will see next Wednesday. So thanks for watching our live, and if you have any questions about some of our instructions or the reasons that we ask you to do some of these things, just rewatch this or give us a call, either one. Thanks for joining us today. Bye.